Abroad Pod.
Hello, listener, and thank you so much for joining us on this 40th episode of the Teaching Abroad Pod. I'm your host, Rowan Lomas, and joining me this week is my former TAP co-host, Alex Yayland, who taught abroad for over a decade in such far-flung reaches as Korea, Taiwan, Poland, Panama, and for the longest time, Mexico. How are things going with you, Alex?
Things are going well. I'm still in Canada. It's getting a bit cold, so I've got my winter wear on. But other than that, things are going pretty well. How about you, Ron?
Great. As you, I think, have heard, I happen to be in Costa Rica at the moment. And so I'm not teaching abroad right now, but I am abroad. So kind of experiencing expat life a little bit, which has been fun.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more of your stories. So I know you've shared a few, but I'm sure that you'll have a few more by the time you're done.
There's always more. I haven't had a chance to tell even a fraction of the stories yet, but hopefully they'll come out in the coming episodes. But today, what I want to talk about was what it's like celebrating traditional holidays while abroad. You know, we've just put Thanksgiving behind us, and Christmas is just around the corner. So it's gotten me thinking about the joys and sometimes sorrows, I guess, that come with celebrating traditional North American holidays while living abroad. And we're really glad to have joining us today our resident Korean Café expert and three-peat guest, Hailey to talk about her experiences with the holiday season in China and then Korea for the last few years. But before we get a visit from her, I thought I'd tell you a bit about this year for me, holiday-wise so far in Costa Rica. You know, Canadian Thanksgiving, big thing generally for me and my family. I was very different here. It wasn't something that anyone's really talking about apart from Canadians. So we didn't have any big things planned. One of our neighbors is Canadian. So, you know, we just planned something small with them. We went out to a pupusa restaurant. So an El Salvadoran pupusa restaurant in Costa Rica for Canadian Thanksgiving and just ordered some good food and chatted and enjoyed the food. And we're thankful for being with some really great new friends we've met. And that was kind of our attempt, I guess, at celebrating Thanksgiving. But then it's now American Thanksgiving season, and that's a much bigger deal, it seems. The stores are selling big turkeys. I mean, they went out, they're going to host a dinner for their American friends, bought, $35 worth of turkey, and just things that weren't really something you could do for Canadian Thanksgiving, strangely. But it was like a once a year kind of thing at the local grocery stores to be able to spend some money on a big bird. And we're gonna make pumpkins aren't a big thing here, but I got some butternut squash.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna make a pumpkin pie with some pumpkin pie spice and squash. That should be fun for that
Nice.
dinner. And how about you? What are you remembering about not being with the typical family and friends and food scene while you're abroad during the holidays?
Yeah, that's a good question. I definitely spent quite a few holidays abroad, and I think some things stand out. Like obviously different countries celebrate different holidays, which is a big one. So different cultures have different holidays, or sometimes they celebrate the same holidays, but they do them quite differently, which is pretty common. So like in Mexico, they follow a lot of Catholic traditions around Christmas. So a lot of stuff happens at Christmas time, but a lot of stuff also happens in January and February with the Three Kings and all of that. So I think part of the fun experience was, yeah, like to try to, be social and make friends and celebrate both with expats abroad, but also with local people. And holidays were a great way to sort of share those experiences where, like, if we could celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving, and if there was a bunch of Canadians, we could do like what you're doing, try to get a turkey or as close as we could get to a turkey, and try to get some other Thanksgiving fare, and show people there like what we would do in Canada to celebrate. And people were always really curious, like, what do you guys do over there to celebrate your holidays? So it's like a great sharing opportunity, and you can show them some of what you do, and they show you kind of what they do. And so it's a great bonding opportunity, both like within the expat communities, but then also like between expats and locals. So I think the main thing is always like try to be social, try to make friends, both with expats and with local people, especially with local people, because it's like, a big part of the reason you're there. and use holidays as a great, a tool and a vehicle to do that, and sort of an excuse to be, break out of your comfort zone and be maybe a bit more social than you would otherwise be.
Good point. Yeah, involving yourself with local traditions where possible should make a big difference in the overall experience. I mean, here they had, I don't know if this was something you had in Mexico, but a festival, the patron saint, the local patron saint, Saint Raphael, and it was all week. There was a midway in front of the cathedral, and rides and bumper cars, things for the kids, and so stuff that I never would see back in my home country, but you could just jump right in and have a great time, whether you're celebrating the patron saint personally or not.
Yeah, those things get loud, so if you might as well just enjoy it. There's no point in trying to fight it.
Yeah, the Independence Day not so long ago, we were hearing cannons being fired every night for like all week. Just at first pretty nice. You're like, oh my gosh, I hope nobody's getting shot or something.
Yeah, the churches can make a lot of noise in Latin America, so that's something you have to get used to.
Cool. Well, that was sage advice as always, Alex. We're going to be joined very shortly by Hailey to talk about her experiences with the holidays in Asia. But first, a word from our sponsor.
With Oxford Seminars, starting your new career teaching ESL couldn't be easier. Oxford Seminars has trained more than 70,000 teachers over the past 30 years, and you could be next. Our comprehensive 120-hour program starts with live instruction from an experienced ESL teacher, followed by convenient online modules. If your goal is to relocate overseas or even teach from the comfort of your own home, Oxford Seminars' renowned lifetime job placement service will get you where you want to be. Right now, you can get $50 off your Oxford Seminars TESL, TESL, TEFL course price when paying in full by calling 1-888-225-2480 and giving the code TEACHINGABROADPOD. Visit oxfordseminars.com today to find out more.
Welcome back, listeners. We are now, if you can believe it, for the third time, joined by TAP resident Café expert Hailey Callum. Since completing the Oxford Seminars course in 2017, Hailey has taught in Beijing and is currently teaching in Seoul. She's also traveled extensively throughout Europe, and you can see her adventures on Instagram at IV_DAE and at IVDAE on YouTube as well. Hailey, it is so nice to have you back. Can you believe it's been over a year since your last visit?
No, I can't believe it. I really can't. The time flies like fast and slow at the same time. I don't know how to explain it, but.
So what have you been up to over the past year, Hailey? Any new amazing adventures or projects that you've been up to?
Yeah, actually, like recently I've been trying to keep myself as busy as possible because last year I had a roommate and I spent a lot of time with my roommate, and that's like who I did everything with. And then this year she moved back to America, so I've been really lonely. So I've been noticing that I should just keep myself busy and trying to like get into new things and new hobbies and stuff. So I'm not just like talking to my cat 24/7. Yeah, lately I have been trying to organize like my own cafe tours in Seoul. And that's kept me really busy, but I really enjoy it, and it's been going really well so far. And yeah, I'm also still studying Korean, and I have like a lot of big plans for next year, so I'm just excited. But yeah.
Wow, cafe tours is like your own business.
That's what I'm hoping it can be. I don't know. Like I'm not like charging for the tours or anything right now. They're just totally free. Like anyone can come. But I don't know. Like I hope that in the future maybe I can start to like do some kind of touring business. Yeah.
There's a reason we called you our resident cafe expert off the top.
Yeah.
You've been to so many. They all look so amazing. The different experiences you can have. Like I would never have thought of that when I hear the word cafe.
Yeah.
The art galleries and the animals and things you can find in these places. Obviously, the food and the drinks have to be amazing too. So yeah, I'm sure you have a ton to share with people. Are you doing groups or one individual, or how's that working?
Yeah, no, I'm doing groups. So I'm just like creating like some flyer or something, and then I post it into a Facebook group with girls who are just arriving to Seoul and looking for friends and stuff like that. So I thought that that would be a really good way to introduce them to Seoul and then also to each other, because I think like something I struggled with when I first got here was not having anyone to feel comfort with, I guess, like because, culture shock and everything. It would have been nice to have like people that I could talk to about things from back home and everything. So, I want to just bring people together, and this was a good way to do so.
Here, here. That's
Yeah.
it's really generous of spirit. So if I was there, I'd certainly be up for something like that. And the Facebook groups are also a really good recommendation. When I first arrived in Gwangju way back when, I was a bit depressed, to be honest. The first week, I didn't know anybody. I couldn't speak the language. I was just kind of sitting around my apartment when I wasn't at work, not knowing what to do. But then when I found this Gwangju folks group, there are a lot of expats on there recommending, we'll be down at the river on Saturday for whatever thing we're doing, or we'll be at this restaurant or bar on this day. And so I started just showing up to these things, and we're making friends way better through that Facebook group than I would have just sitting around my apartment, obviously.
Yeah. No, I mean, I totally agree. Like, I've always been in the Facebook groups, but I've never actually utilized them in this way to make friends and to create groups and things like this. So, yeah, it's helped me a lot. Like, if I have any question about, schools here or life, something that I need to like buy from somewhere, I don't know, then I've been able to find answers, and people, have built a community where we feel comfortable doing that kind of stuff. So
Do you have any new cafe recommendations for those who might be listening from Korea or might be traveling there soon that you haven't told us about before?
yeah, so I recently came across one of my new favorite cafes. It's called Noop Cafe, Noop. Yeah, I don't know, like they have, to me, one of the greatest views of Seoul that you will ever see. And it's a massive cafe. It's huge. Indoors and outdoor seating. They even have seating for in the wintertime. Outdoors, they have like the little igloo where you can sit inside and stay warm even though you're
Oh,
outside. It's really nice.
how do they get that view?
So actually, the cafe itself, it used to be part of a university. So it was only open to university students. And one of my friends who used to be a student there, he knew about it and he took me there. And then now it's open to the public, so anyone can go. But the entire HBC area of Seoul is very hilly. So that's why no one wants to go there, because walking, you're always either walking uphill or downhill. There's no like straight flat land. So it's only 5 floors up, but it is the rooftop of the building. But I guess it must be on a hill because you outlook everything. It's like you're looking into a valley because you can see down, but then you can also like see everything else go back up around you. So it's really nice. And you have a great view of Namsan Tower because it's right next to Namsan.
Oh, nice. That sounds spectacular.
Yeah, I love it.
So we wanted to talk today about celebrating the holidays while you're living abroad. And I mean, this cafe tour sounds like a great way to meet people and connect, but are there any other things that you've developed over the years, strategies or tips and tricks for how to celebrate holidays abroad and what to do when you're maybe away from the typical North American traditional food and family and stuff?
Yeah, so one thing I also, again, what we talked about with the Facebook groups, that's one way that you could find other people who want to, I guess, like have the same holiday experience as you. And then there's also a lot of restaurants in your area or some area that might be having holiday dinners. And so that's something that I will be doing this year, is like going to have, because I haven't had turkey like the whole time I've been in Korea. It's been 3 years and I've not had any holiday food that I'm used to from back home. I think, yeah, just like finding the community of people, like being with your friends. And I know that it can be like kind of hard if you just moved overseas and maybe you don't have that many friends. Sharing with your coworkers or anything, just don't be alone on the holidays. Last year I was with my roommate, so we spent the holidays together. And I also travel a lot on the holidays too, because that's the only time I have off. So I just will travel.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
It's nice to know somebody who's like, there might be someone who just every year has this big turkey dinner and I'm gonna invite people. So it doesn't hurt to ask around. Does anybody know of
Yeah.
anyone who's throwing a party or travel? Like when I was in Korea over Christmas and New Year, I was actually in Beijing visiting a friend in Beijing. So it was my
Mm.
opportunity. It was my 1 week winter holiday. So get out of town, go do something.
My friend from Beijing came to visit me during my first holiday here. So we didn't really we celebrated Christmas and exchanged gifts and stuff, but we just wanted to go out and experience and do touristy things. So we didn't really do much like holiday related things. But another thing is like potlucks. People do a lot of potlucks here. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would say that that's a good idea too. I just want to throw my own holiday party.
Do it.
Yeah, it's something I'm considering, but I'm looking for a restaurant to cater it because I want the holiday food, but I'm just looking for,
Do you
a
even have an
restaurant.
oven where you could cook that turkey?
Oh my God, no, ovens don't exist here
So that's why
in
you need to
normal.
cater it.
Yeah, exactly. But then, yeah, it can be a little bit expensive to get that kind of food here, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I think we kind of dealt with my next question already, Alex. So how about on to you?
Yeah, so local holiday traditions that really drew you in, aside from, celebrating Canadian or American holidays while you're abroad, it's also a great opportunity to celebrate local holidays that you might not know about. So, Korea, I know they love food and drink and to celebrate and meet with family. So have you had a chance to learn about any local traditions there and even celebrate some?
Yeah, I really, really, really want to get invited to one of my Korean friends' family dinners, but I've not been invited yet. So if they're watching this, please invite me next time. I do know everyone celebrates New Year's here because in Korea, for New Year's, everyone turns 1 year older, regardless of it's their birthday. So I do the same thing, go out with friends and stuff like that. So I feel like that kind of tradition is very similar. And then Korean New Year's comes in January, and basically everyone leaves Seoul. Seoul is completely dead. There's nobody here. It's a ghost town. So the best thing to do is to just go travel. However, it's really hard to get tickets to go anywhere because everything's sold out.
I hear in China, it's even worse. Like try and travel anywhere during Chinese New Year, you're going to be like delayed and just spending so much time in airports or train stations or bus stations. Did you ever experience that in China?
Yeah, I guess maybe when I was in China, I didn't realize it was a holiday. Because I don't know, maybe as a foreigner, I'm just I see the calendar and I'm like, oh, I have this time off, but I don't realize that oh, I have this time off because it's a holiday and everything's gonna be crowded and packed and expensive and whatnot. So yeah, I do remember being stuck on a bus for 8 hours. We even had to sleep on the bus. The bus driver pulled over for 3 hours and we had to sleep.
Oh my goodness.
Like But yeah, it is wild. It's crazy. And you'll never get a train ticket. They sell out
So do you have
instantly.
any kind of advice around that? What should you do during the Lunar New Year festivities?
I think you should try to travel, honestly. If you can, I think you should. If you are going to travel, it might help if you have someone who can speak the language to help you book and navigate the websites, because that's what my problem was. I couldn't navigate the website fast enough to book the train ticket.
Can you get a car
But
rental?
yeah,
Have you tried that?
yeah, I have rented a car. I have a driver's license here now, so I feel so cool.
Well,
Yeah.
it kind of reminds me of like during the height of the pandemic, one thing that became super popular in Ontario, Canada, was camping at provincial parks. Pre-pandemic, you'd have no problem getting a campsite any day of the year. But as soon as COVID hit, you had to be on your computer at like 7 a.m. to get a campsite at any park in the province pretty much, and there was so much demand, it like knocked out the whole system. And
Oh my goodness.
just to go
Where was
camping.
this? Where was that at?
Ontario, Canada.
Ah, oh my
Summer
God. Wow.
campsites, because people couldn't
Wow.
go anywhere really, so except outside, so everyone wanted to go camping all of a sudden.
That's funny. I feel like the same thing, I feel like that happened here as well, but with every aspect of life. Everything just became instantly booked, everything sold out. you can't do anything without like needing a million website tabs open all on the same website, trying to get the same thing. Yeah.
I guess on a more positive note, things really do seem to be opening up again in the world. The Chinese schools are bringing in more teachers again. Korea's loosening entry restrictions for entry. Is it pretty much back to pre-pandemic teacher life in Korea?
I wouldn't say pre-pandemic teacher life back to normal because we still have to wear masks indoors. Yeah, especially because like I'm teaching such young students and like they don't even know how to make the sounds of the alphabet yet. So I feel like they really need to rely on like what the shape of our mouth looks like, but we can't even show them. So yeah, that doesn't feel normal.
Yeah, for sure. Is that like a local thing or your school's thing or nationwide?
Nationwide
Still
still.
nationwide. Good to know.
Yeah.
For anyone who's thinking, I refuse to wear a mask while teaching, Korea's off your list, I guess, for the time being. Did you have any other things you wanted to mention before we let you go?
I think like, I don't know, maybe advice. I don't know if this is something that I've regretted since I came here was not learning the language sooner. And I think that that would be something that would help me a lot if I did know the language by now, at least a lot better. You know, as far as holidays and stuff, it just helps to be around, you know, as many friends as possible. And for someone like me who's been here for so long, Korea is not really a country that people come and stay in. So it's like the people that I was with last year are not here anymore, and the people that I'm going to be with this year are probably not going to be here next year. So I just think that if you go to a new country, you don't have to learn the language, but I think it would just help if you did, and then you can make local friends. And I think like that would be a really great way to spend the holidays because at least, you know, you'll have someone there, you know, for the years to come. So
I guess this kind of connects back to cafes, but I've heard of these language exchange groups that are a thing in Korea. Like I never tried it, but you can go to a cafe and, you know, practice your Korean with locals and they can practice their English with you. Have you ever seen those kinds of groups?
yeah. So actually there used to be like a huge, huge language exchange community here. I mean, it was called GSM, Global Soulmates. I don't know if you've heard of it, but
Vaguely familiar.
yeah, like they were quite big, but then after COVID hit, no one could go meet anywhere. So I think like that organization kind of just stopped because we haven't really heard much of it since then. But a lot of the friends that I have came from that language exchange program. I didn't personally go to it, but I just know that they were all involved in it. And we've been talking a lot about trying to get something like that going again, just because they know so well about how it works and everything. And so I have gone to some language exchanges, but then they weren't really ones that like continue like every single week. It was just like a one-time thing here and then a one-time thing there. Yeah, like the same with the cafe tours. Like I would like to do that and then move on to planning and having more events and stuff, you know, later on in the future.
Yeah, they could be
Once
really,
I just
sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say they could be very interconnected, like your cafe tours and language exchanges could have a lot of people going in between them kind of thing.
yeah, exactly. I was thinking of these things.
No doubt. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us again today, Hailey. It was great having you and hearing your insights about celebrating the holidays while abroad.
Thank you for having me.
Have a great night.
Yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.
Well, thanks again to Hailey for taking the time to speak with us today and tell us about her cafe tours. It sounds like a fascinating project and a really cool one. So before we go, do we have a job placement update this week, Rowan? Any new news you want to share with us today?
Just a couple of things I wanted to mention today. And first is we've got a new blog up at oxfordseminars.com/blog that's highlighting the top 10 TEFL markets to consider for 2023. So definitely go check that out. And while it's not in the top 10, unfortunately, maybe it will be next year. We're working on a new opportunity for our graduates to explore the beauty of one of the world's top travel destinations, Spain. This new program offers 3-month volunteer conversation assistant jobs in Catalonian schools for youth under 30, which comes with free homestay housing. And these won't be just to start in September, like is often the case with Spain, but also January and April each year with no degree required. So this will be an awesome opportunity for people looking for a gap year type travel experience after high school, or maybe those looking to take a break between semesters, or even a summer experience abroad if they don't have exams in April, or maybe if they're studying remotely. So yeah, it's a really cool new opportunity available to our graduates through the Job Placement Service.
That's great. Spain's an amazing place to visit and teach. So hope people take advantage of this great new opportunity.
And thanks for tuning in to the Teaching Abroad pod. We'll be releasing new episodes every month. If you've enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like and subscribe and share with your friends. Remember, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher, etc. If you have any great ideas you'd like to hear us discuss in upcoming episodes, please do leave them in the comments on YouTube or send them in the comments to Oxford Seminars on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. You can also email us at teachingabroadpod@oxfordseminars.com. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.